the way we're going to explore it is, I'm going to give a little bit of background, I'm going to read a little bit of text, and then we're going to go into a discussion around it. And we're just going to flow with it. So what we're going into tonight is the symbolism of the Aduma. Why? Because it's in this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha, we talk about the Aduma. And it's Parshas Chukas. And what the Aduma is about, in the end of the day, what we're going to be exploring is a full deep dive into what the animal soul is. That's what we're talking about tonight. So we have this, so I'll just give a bit of background. We have this mitzvah called Aduma, which is known as the red heifer. It's a fully red cow. Not one strand of hair is not red, so to speak. It's a fully expressed, embodied, passionate cow. There was only 9 in the history, and the 10th is supposed to be at the time Mashiach comes. There can be no blemish, nothing wrong with it, and never used for any sort of labor. And what we do is, what they do with the Aduma is they slaughter it, they sprinkle its blood, and they're burning the body, and then what they do is they mix the ashes with water from a living spring, and this is supposed to be used to purify someone who is impure. And the Kohen does this whole process, and in the process the Kohen becomes impure himself, which is a whole nother idea, which is crazy. But we're not going into that tonight. And what this mitzvah is so mysterious is it's known as, in Parshas Chukas, the idea of a choik. What's a choik? A choik is there's 3 types of mitzvahs. There's one type of mitzvah that says mishpat, which we understand exactly why we do. It's very rational. You can understand why we don't steal because an ant doesn't steal. We can understand modesty because a cat keeps modesty. So it's just logical things. Don't steal, don't kill. Then we have the edus, which are called testimonials, which are things that we are being testimony to. For example, Shabbos. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th, and when we rest on the 7th, we're being a testimonial for God, saying, hey, I'm giving you a good testimonial, God. And we're saying, you did this, and we agree to this. Then there are things that we just really don't understand. Within those things that we don't understand, there's a phone bin right there. So then there's things that we just really don't understand. Welcome. And those are called chukim. These are laws which make no sense, and there's no testimonial to it. It just is what it is. In fact, the Aduma was said that Shlomo HaMelech, who was the wisest man of all time, did not understand the Aduma. Yeah, and he understood everything. So it goes beyond human comprehension, which means we have to, in part of our service of connecting to God, we have to go to a level of not understanding. It's an idea. Now, there are 4 elements that exist in the world. Does anyone know what those 4 elements are? And earth. Just fire, water, wind, earth. And the entire world is made up of these 4 elements, which also correspond to the 4 letters of God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. And what we do is, what we do is, in the process of taking the Aduma, we burn it to its core, and it ends up representing its core element, which is ashes, which is the idea of material. So I'm going to go into this now, and then we're going to explore concept. Any questions so far? You can't have any questions because you showed up late, but welcome to the party. We're talking about the Paraduma. Okay. So the text starts like this. Now what I did is I broke down 4 pieces because it's a very long mimer. This is in the Kutei Torah. The Alter Rebbe speaks about this concept, and he gives us, I would say, the answer to what the Paraduma really is. We're saying Shlomo HaMelech didn't understand. No, he really didn't understand this idea, but say he didn't understand. The Alter Rebbe brings it that we can actually understand. We can touch reason. We can touch a graspable idea around the Paraduma. So what happens? So he goes into it. Sreifas apara la soisa efer. They burn the cow, and what came out of it was ashes. What happened? Ha'inyan dehina al derech mashal kesurfim eitzim v'al yedei zen nasim efer sha'efer hu mahusav atzmusa shal eitz hanisraf ki hakol haya min ha'afar rak shenirkevu boy oid gimel yisedes esh ruach mayim el ha'afar shu'atzmusa v'al yedei asreifa ba'esh azai gimel yisedes hayu b'ha'etz chalfu v'chalu ba'asham misava mer kavasam. So we have these 4 elements that make up everything in the world, and when you burn down the cow, it comes into just ashes. It comes into its most core element, which is dust, or ashes, which is also related to earth. And it once had all 4 elements, and then it was down to its core. It got unentangled from all of the elements that made it up, and it was burnt down to its core. And what was left is just the earth element. And this is also the idea of chomer and tzura. So this is the idea of chomer and tzura. What's chomer? Chomer means the raw material. Tzura means the form the raw material takes on. So for example, this is a table. If this was a wood table, we would look at the table and we say, this is the form that the table's in, and in this form we call it a table. But really, where does the table come from? It comes from a tree. And that's the raw form. So, but we're not going to look at the table and say, this is a tree. This is wood. You might say this is made of wood, but we're not going to say the form that it's in right now is, can you put that on the wood? No, you say, can you put that on the table? So with everything in life, he says, which is going to be the theme of the entire discussion tonight, as we enter the Pardes, the deepening of the experience is everything in life has the facts, the raw material, and then the form it takes on. And that idea is that in life, we need to be able to distinguish between what is the raw material, and let's translate raw material, let's take it back and say that the raw material is what is actually going on here versus the form it's taking on. So let's say someone comes to you and they're talking to you and they're getting angry at you and they're yelling at you and they're screaming at you. Now the form that this person's showing up in is he's embodying anger. He's embodying this intense, heated anger. So now when I look at the form of how he's showing up, I'll say, this guy is, and then there's a judgment that comes with that. This guy is not a nice person, he's mean, he's rude, he's v'chulu v'chulu. You have lots of names that we could call this guy. But if we look deeper into what's really going on for this guy, why is he getting so angry about whatever's going on in front of him? And you see this not just with things that actually matter, because there are times that we have justified anger where we need to be angry in life. but really unjustifiable times. Like he goes to a Starbucks. This guy goes to a Starbucks. Let's call him Yunkel. Actually, no, that's not good.
Wow.
Because we have a Yunkel today.
Wow, that's the Yankel was in my head. The second he said the name Yankel.
Why is somebody angry? Yeah,
At
okay.
that particular time, you saw the anger within.
Yeah, so, okay. So let's say now a guy goes to, well, Yunkel doesn't go to Starbucks. Let's say George goes to Starbucks, and George orders a Frappuccino. Comes in and he says, hey, can I get my Frappuccino? And I'll take extra whipped cream, he tells his barista. And then he notices that the barista chintzes him out on the whipped cream.
So it's a kosher style.
And it's George.
For example.
And George gets crazy and he starts screaming at this guy. What kind of thing is this? I told you, I even warned you. Who do you think you are? You messing with me. I come here every day. You should know this already. You must be new. Get the hell out of here. Let me speak to your manager. And he's going and he's going. He's losing himself. And what is he losing himself about? He's losing himself about the whipped cream. Let me tell you something.
We all do.
It's never just about the whipped cream.
It's never about the whipped cream.
Because that's the tsura it takes on. That's the form it takes on. So if I'm getting mad about the whipped cream, odds are there's a deeper communication that's happening inside of me. So the question in life becomes, can I see the messenger or am I only seeing the message? Can I see the form in which the thing is coming to me, or can I distinguish from the person that's saying it and what's actually going on for them that they would say it that way? So it's about interpretation. A lot of life becomes interpretation. We have to be able to distinguish between what is a fact and what is the interpretation. As he says here, "V'achomer ha'pashut shel ha'etz hu yesoid ha'afar v'gimel ha'yesoidis eish ruach hamayim hin rak hatzura shel ha'etz v'al yedei sreifas ha'etz nishar rak etzem ha'chomer shelo ha'pashut." Now when we break things down to its core, we're going to see that it has one simple foundation. This is what it is. That's called the chomer. I would say that all healing in life, real healing and growth, happens when I can distinguish between what is the raw facts of what's going on here and the interpretation of those facts, because I'll tell you something. In life, this is how we process life. This is how we look at life. Circumstance through my mind equals my experience. Circumstance through my mind equals my experience. Circumstance through my emotions equals my experience. Everything that's happening in front of me is taking on a certain form. And what's that form come from? Well, we're going to go deeper into that tonight. But let's just say, L'chaim, just take that message in for a second. Is circumstance through my mind equals my experience.